Hey, it's Alan here.
And Bree. And we are the hunter and the hippie.
Connected through yoga and bonded by our love of the wild places and the love for outdoors, we've come together to share our conversations about life.
Well, maybe more so what we've learned or are continuing to learn about life.
And there's no one way to do it. Life, that is.
And hopefully provide you with some teeny tiny bits of inspiration to connect deeper with yourself, others, and our great Mother Earth.
All right. Enough already about the podcast. Let's just get to the podcast. Wow, that was intense. What a to-do.
We finally made it.
We finally, holy shit. So
that was what? Almost an hour?
Almost an hour. So for those tuning in,
yeah.
Right, the voice sounds a little bit different today. It is. We're welcoming our first guest to the podcast. We have Abbey Ladwig.
Hello.
Our friend and yours. And we just spent the last hour. It was fucking atrocious. Oh my God. Trying to figure out this podcast thing, if you're trying to do a podcast or you want to do a podcast, it is not as easy as just hitting the record button. Okay. It is not that easy, people. I promise you. And maybe you've heard a couple of our episodes that have shitty volume, or shitty issues with whatever. But it is.
And as I just learned, as soon as you fix one thing, something else goes wrong. Mm-hmm. So it's just sort of a domino of problems.
It really is. Because we fixed the thing. We're like, yes, we fixed it. And then 10 more problems came out. And we're like,
all so that we can just talk and jab for the next 4 hours, right?
Right. It's so ridiculous. 4 hours. I'm gonna need a break in between.
But seriously, I'm a podcast junkie. Mm-hmm. So this is like a lifelong dream of mine. Even before podcasts were a thing, I knew I should be on one.
That's great.
Here is my inaugural podcast.
I love it.
First podcast ever. I am so excited.
That's so cool.
So,
we'll have to make you a regular on the.
Ooh,
on
yeah,
the podcast.
I'm into that.
Yeah. It's funny that you say that because I remember as a kid thinking I want to be a talk show host.
Oh.
And because I always just loved talking to people and doing, and then podcasting is exactly that. It's a talk show. Talk shows
except better.
Right. It is way better. Talk shows are actually lame now because.
Do they even still do a talk show?
They do.
Well, I don't watch TV,
they do.
I don't know.
I always imagine growing up watching The Late Show with David Letterman.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, that's so cool. And but it's so outdated now, right? Because long form, right? And the reason we do the podcast, typically me and Bree, right? The reason we started this podcast the way that we did is because really long form is the way to go. You can't, Joe Rogan talks about this a lot on his, you can't fake the funk for in long form, right? You can't
what does that mean? I do not get that. I'm sorry. I listen to Joe Rogan. I've never heard that. So you're going to have to fill me in.
If for 20 minutes, if not even 20 minutes, like David Letterman or now Jimmy Fallon or, Jay Leno, these guys, their guests come on and they talk for 7.5 minutes.
Right.
And
it's super fast.
It's really easy to fake that, right? It's really easy to say that you're something or give these quote sound bites of who you are.
And now with the COVID, they can't even have audience anymore. So aren't they doing laugh tracks? So it's a 7-minute do your little sound bites and then a fake laughter track in the back.
Right.
That's what I've heard. I don't know if that's true.
But it's so produced. You're so right. Whether they can or can't, it's almost like they're holding up a sign. If there was an audience, it says laugh now, right? And it's, with long form, you can't fake that, right? You can't, right? I can give you the sound bites. I can give you what you want to hear in 7 minutes. But once we start talking for an hour and a half and I'm starting to get tired, you're starting to wear me down with questions, right?
And you kind of forget that you're even recording.
Yep.
And you kind of are
You drop your guard.
Like you kind of, and you kind of go on tangents, and then next thing you know, it's been 3 hours, and you're like,
right.
At least that's how I assume it'll be, because again, this is my first one.
Yeah.
So
No,
I don't know.
That really is.
But I gotta say, I love the long form because I am a former accountant. I quit my job this year in basically when my son was born in February, and the only way I could get through the day of accounting work was listening to podcasts. So I had to have like a minimum of 8 hours a day of content.
Yeah.
So
long form
when I found, when I found these 3 hour long things, I was like, oh, this is perfect. So because otherwise, if it's like 10 minutes, I have to listen to like 100 of those a day.
And then you have to find them, right? Like with like a Joe Rogan episode, it's 3 hours. You start it. You don't have to worry about your entertainment for the next 3 hours.
Yeah, so true. It's that is like the way to go. And you know, and nowadays I have way less time because I stay home with my kids. And now I just have to listen to it a little faster. So I actually now use that like 1.5 thing. Whereas before I was like, oh, I got plenty of time. I don't need to speed it up.
You slow it down. You like put it to like 0.5. Let me extend this a little bit longer.
Make this last as long as possible. Yes.
and
that's exactly right.
It's so right. So like with the talk show, you get just this little snippet, and here it's so cool. Like you just get to just shoot the shit and talk, and you know, and so I totally feel you. Like you want to be on podcasts. That's so cool, because like I always thought like I want to be a talk show host, and you can be anything you want to be, and you just gotta get after
here
it.
You go.
And here we are, both. You're on a podcast. We're a talk show host.
1 million listeners. Here we come.
Right. One listener at a time to 1 million listeners. So So for real though, thank you. Like you actually had this idea. So
yes,
look at
I've been waiting for my moment.
Look at you planning the bug, and like you're like, oh, here's my in. I'm gonna get on this show now.
Hey, I've been patient. You guys started this podcast in January.
So
did you kick it off January?
We're actually coming up on our year episode. So this is episode 26 that you're on. So we got 2 more, and so essentially I think we released the first one like January 3rd or 5th or something like that. So I've been patiently I've been writing it out. I've been like, you played the long game.
Oh yeah. All right. So I'm glad to be here, and go ahead.
You said right, what was it? So we're both of us. So Abby has joined me in the 75 hard program. We'll get to that story. That story is really funny. We'll talk a little bit about 75 hard so the listeners know what it is, but Abby's been doing the 75 hard with me. She's had, although we're on the journey together, it's also very different. And Abby had this idea of she should come on and like interview me, and I was like, well, first off, no, I'm not being interviewed. We're just here to talk to each other. Right? That's not how we roll. And second, like she's a great person to talk to, as you can already hear. But she has a lot to share from her perspective on this program. So it's going to be really cool to get your perspective and share it with the people. So I'm excited for that.
All right.
So we're going to, right, Bree's not here. It's not that she didn't want to be here. She's tied up at the moment, and it's just good to have someone else on, and I'm sure there's going to be an episode where Bree joins and I'm not here. So you get to get both journal prompt and breath from me today. So we're going to open with a breath. We'll close with our journal prompt. So we'll start with the breath. So wherever you're at, wherever you're listening from, first off, thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. As Abby mentioned, we're coming up on a year, 26 episodes. So thank you for tuning in and being a part of this journey with us. Wherever you're at, just go ahead and find a comfortable seat. Right, disclaimer, if you're driving, like Bree always talks about, right, like please don't close your eyes, right? You can still do this if you're driving. And I'm going to call Abby out real quick. If you're like my friend Abby, who started fast forwarding through our breath work, stop it, right? Stop it. She's covering her face. It's hilarious. Right? Like the breath, the breath is so important. There's a lot of science behind it. I'm not going to get into that. The breath is so important, right? Like, just take this moment to breathe and join us. And you know what? If you're going to fast forward beyond it, cool. Whatever. I don't care. But it's really going to benefit you to breathe. So just arrive to wherever you're at in the moment. If you're sitting in a chair, you're sitting on the couch, even if you're cooking, right? If you're cooking in the kitchen listening to this, if you're taking care of your kids, just arrive to the moment and just stop for a moment, right? You don't have to stop the full breath. You can breathe the whole time, go back to doing what you're doing, but just stop for a moment and be mindful of the moment that you're in. And just observe your breath, right? Go ahead and close down your eyes if you have the option to. And just be in this moment and observe, right? Don't try to control your thoughts. Right? Let your thoughts run rampant, whatever those thoughts might be. And observe your breath. And observe just how your breath is responding to those thoughts. Maybe it's joy and happiness. Maybe it's sadness or fear or anxiety. Just be in this moment. Our culture, our Western culture, most of us are listening from the United States, but even around the world, right? Our advanced modern culture, we're so focused on action, and that's great. That's what makes us amazing. But we always feel like we have to act. Right, a thought comes up and boom, act. Thought comes up and boom, act. And we just keep doing that. We never have time to just be. Let a thought come up and do nothing. Just take this opportunity to be with those thoughts. And maybe they're true, or maybe they're not. Try not to label them bad or good. They just are. We don't need to define everything. Now, just take this opportunity to try to slow down the breath. Just begin some big inhales through the nose, filling all the way up into the belly, and big exhales out the nose, deflating all the way to the belly. Continue to stay focused on the breath. And as the mind begins to wander, that's all right. Just bring your attention and your awareness back to your breathing. We're not here to clear our minds. We're here to be with our minds. We'll just do a few more rounds of breath here, and then we'll get on with the show. From here, let's take a big inhale through the nose, all the way into the belly, fill all the way up. Take every last little bit of oxygen that you can into the body. On our exhale, we're going to sigh it out the mouth. We'll do one more of those. Big inhale through the nose. And slowly bringing your eyes back to open if they're not already. And coming back to the show. And hopefully everyone's feeling a little bit more relaxed, a little less anxious, a little more grateful. Thank you so much, Abby, for suggesting this. I'm so excited to have you on and chat. So our chat today, we're going to be talking about the 75 hard program. It's this. It's funny. It's not a diet. It's not a right. It's like a mental challenge. How would you describe it? Like, what would you say?
Definitely. How they describe it, which is a mental toughness challenge. That's why I tell everybody, like, and what I like about it is, they have hard in the name, but, it's scalable, as I've heard. Like, you can make it fit whatever is hard to you.
Yeah.
So, like, if you don't exercise whatsoever, you can still start it, and you don't have to be doing the same thing that someone over here is doing. So I like how it can fit into people's life no matter what your fitness level. And it's really just, mental.
That's so critical that you say that, because it is a mental toughness challenge, but two, I've had people reach out and like, they see the levels that I work out, and my workouts are intense most of the time, right? They're intense, they're insane, right? Like, and that's not, like, I don't recommend it, right? Unless you're at that level, like, it's not recommended. Like, go for, if you're picking up this challenge, anyone can do this challenge. And if you're picking it up and you're sitting on the couch, go for 2 walks. Go for 2 45-minute walks.
That was part of the frustrating thing when we first kicked it off, which we can tell that story in a second. But
no, share it now, because this is perfect.
Start, okay.
Share it now.
So, and you'll have to help me remember the details, because basically you were at my place and we were all chatting.
Oh, I remember.
We were chatting. Well, so basically I was already not drinking alcohol for 2 weeks.
Yep.
And then my church was kicking off a 35-day challenge, which was modeled off of 75 hard, because our pastor did 75 hard earlier in the year, and he wanted to, like, give the church a 35-day challenge, which had, a much more realistic list. Basically, it was like 15 minutes of exercise per day, one exercise, and then, like, read your Bible, pray, sacrifice one thing, and serve others, which you actually added that into your 75-day challenge, because that's not in 75 hard, although it's in phase 1, which we might get into.
Phase 3.
Oh, it's in phase 3. Okay,
yep.
See, I don't even know.
Yep.
And then, so then I was telling you about that, and then you were like, I was thinking about 75 hard. Would you do it? And I was like, yeah, sure, why not?
It was fun.
I'm already not drinking alcohol, and I'm already doing a 35-day.
Yeah.
Why not just add on a few more items? What's the big deal?
A few more tasks, right? Like, and it was funny. We were sitting. It was a Sunday, and we were sitting around your house, and yeah, that's exactly how it came up. And I was like, "You're gonna do this. You're doing all of the things already." I think it was missing a few tasks and extending it a little bit, and then the number of days. And it was funny. You were like, "Yeah, let's do it," and I was like, "Great! Like we're in, let's do it." And then you said, "We start tomorrow," and I was like,
and we did,
and I was like record scratch, like, wait, what? And
we were talking about this at like 7 p.m. So it was like, okay, you have like 3 hours to finish your sodas in the fridge, and boom, we're going.
Yeah, and it was like, I was like coming up with every excuse in my head. I was like, no, like
I didn't hear any of them.
No, because I didn't verbalize them. I was like, wait, what? No, we can't start tomorrow. I have all these Cokes left to drink, and I'm
not ready.
I was not ready. I was not ready.
I'll be honest though, like my mindset, I did not and still don't really have the mindset that I think if you listen to this show, the Andy Frisella show, their mindset is not mine. Like I already know I don't have that. They're like, "Rawr," and I was like,
but you don't.
Yeah,
have
I'll
to
just
be
add it
wrong.
in. Like I just made it like I just made it like, yeah, I'm just gonna do it. And I just did not make it a huge deal in my head. So
right. And
I was like, if I fail, I fail. I don't want to fail,
right.
but I'm not gonna I don't know, freak out.
But then, right? So we did start the next day, and
we did. September 14th?
12th, I think.
No.
Yeah, whatever. September 12th, I believe.
One of those.
September
One of
12th or
those.
13th.
Okay.
But
13. Yeah. Okay.
one of the things,
Anyways, we started September.
We were in it. We were in it, and
Mm-hmm.
I forget how far along in it we were. We were like, I don't know, maybe like a week in it. I don't remember. But I remember getting a text from you saying, I'm starting over. And, and I'm like,
oh, yeah, I forgot this.
And I'm like, oh my God, what? Like, wait, what?
This is like 3 months ago now.
Yeah. What is she talking about? She's starting over. Like, we've been in communication every day, multiple times a day regarding this. Like, why is she starting over? And it was like, you know, you were like walking with the kids and playing with the kids outside for your 45 minutes. And
for one of them,
yeah,
yes.
And that totally counts. But like, again, it goes back to what we were saying at the beginning of this, that, right, like we're so hard on ourselves, and you were like, it doesn't count. And I think you were talking with your husband too, and you guys are like, oh, right, you just were in your own head. You were overthinking it. You're like, oh, this doesn't count. It's not hard enough. It's not tough enough. And
yeah.
And I appreciate that. Like, I really do. I appreciate that, because coming out of it, like I finished 75 hard, and looking back, I know I could do better, right? Like, and we'll get to that, but like, I know that I can be better at it. And like, I'm excited.
Better as in make it harder.
Yeah, make it harder, just be tougher, right? Get through more of it. And, you know, like I feel like, yeah, maybe sometimes the walks, right? But the walks are also really good.
But that's why I said it's scalable, because like I feel like I made parts of it easier, and then I was like, wait a minute, I think I should make this harder, and then I just was like, but really it is simple. It's like, just do these things. Right. It does not prescribe to you how hard to make it, and that's part of the mental.
It really is.
Oh, I have to decide this for myself. And so, anyways, yeah.
You're so right. Like it gets to these people who are overthinkers. Like, quit overthinking it, right? It's and quit changing it, right? Like, quit trying. Oh well, this doesn't apply to me. No, it's stop. Like, it's 5 tasks, and I'll go through with them, right? It's 5 tasks. They are what they are. Like, quit looking for your out. Quit looking for your but what if. Right, my this is a terrible saying, but I love it, because my dad used to say it to me. Right, like when people say like, "What if?" My dad used to say, "Well, what if my aunt had a dick? She'd be my uncle." Right, like it's this big what if. Right, like it's not gonna. Right, like what ifs. Right, it's simple. Here are the tasks. So you have to do 2 workouts. Both workouts have to be 45 minutes, and one of them has to be outside. Doesn't matter, right? So yeah, go ahead.
There has to be somewhat of a gap between those.
Yes.
So you can't do an hour and a half and call that 2 45-minute
That's
workouts.
Correct. Yep.
So that's
2
important.
separate workouts, 45 minutes each, and one has to be outside. And we're not talking about in your garage with the garage door open because it's raining out and you're being a little baby, right? It's snowing out and you don't want to go outside in the cold, right? No, outside is outside, right? It's not under an awning. You are outside. You're outside. You're walking, right? Most of my outdoor workouts was walking my dog. And part of this, you know, the mental toughness, the challenge is my dog got a better life in 75 days, right? Like, think about that. Like, how often do we think about our dogs? And, right, it improved my life, but by changing the thing that I can control, me, and just going out for a 45-minute walk every day, my dog got walked every day for 45 minutes. I now have a tired dog. I now have a happy dog. And I have a dog that can catch a Frisbee like no other now too. Like, how cool is that?
And I can feel you on that. I hear you on that, because as soon as one of my 45-minute workouts, when the first round I did, was taking my kids with me. So for that first stretch, they got outside with me every single day. I mean, I think there was like 5 times where I did a bike ride without them, but I would bike them around to playgrounds, play with them just to keep myself basically moving and physical and heart rate up. And then I'd bike them to another playground. So they got outdoors, playground time, time with me every single day. And let me tell you,
how many kids you have?
I have 2 kids.
And how old are they?
I have a 2-year-old daughter. She's about 2.5 now. And I have a 10-month-old son.
So hold on. You have a toddler and a baby.
That's right.
And you committed to this, you're fucking crazy.
Well, yeah. I mean,
talk to that, because like, how many, and I say you're fucking crazy in jest, right? Like, I know who you are, right? And I know what you want out of life, right? The listeners don't, but so many people will use that excuse. Oh, I got kids. How can I work out 45 minutes twice a day? How can I do one outside? How can I do all these other tasks that I'll go through? Right. So just like, why would you commit to this? Why, you gave a really good reason, right? Like, you got to hang out with your children. How often do we just give
I made them
children,
a part of it.
Right. Like, you made them a part of it, right? Like, think about the lessons you're teaching them, even at that young age, right? By doing this. And, how often is it just so easy, right? It's so easy just to give our kid a screen, right? An iPad, an iPhone, right? And
actually, now that you mentioned that, during this time, so we used to have a little iPad for Lily, that she's the older one, 2-year-old. We would give her a little iPad, and I would give it to her like, 30 minutes a day, twice a day. And actually, for some reason, I just felt like, okay, we're done with that now. Like, the second week of the 75 hard challenge, I was like, yeah, and we're done with that now.
Is that funny?
And we're done with it now.
And
so she doesn't get the screen anymore, and she doesn't even really care.
And right, that almost can make your life more difficult, right? Like, in the sense of, you can just hand her an electronic babysitter, which a lot of people do. And, there's so many, right? We're not going to get like political and all that, but there's so many issues with our children in this world right now. Like, we're seeing, shootings at a high, we're seeing suicide rates at highs, right? And I believe, and like, there's evidence of this now with social media and all that, right? Like, we just need to love our kids, right? We need to take these screens away from them. We need to show them love, and we need to get them outside and do exactly what we did.
Well, and it's proven that stuff is just addictive. It just is. I mean, it's made to be addictive. And as a mom, like, you can't really monitor everything they're watching and blah, blah, blah. And here's the other thing. It's okay for them to be bored.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not an expert on parenting by any means, but I've read in multiple sources and I've put in practice, like, let them get bored. It's okay. Yeah. Like, that's how they actually spur creativity.
Yeah. Think about when we were kids, right? Like, we were bored. I didn't have, like, I think the coolest,
I was always outside.
I think the coolest thing I had was a Walkman, a cassette player Walkman, like, as a kid growing up. And like, we were bored all the time, and you make up games, and you're outside a lot.
Run around. Yeah. So I was outside a lot, and it was fun. So playing with your siblings or your friends down the street, like, that's what I used to do. So
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So you committed to this, right, with kids. Like, you're just adding a whole nother challenge aspect to it. And so many people would just give the bullshit excuse. It's a good excuse, but it's still bullshit, right? It's still an excuse that, I have kids, right? Like, you have to prioritize your day. And really what this challenge does is it gives you your priorities.
Yeah, well, and here's the thing. Do I think I'm special because I have a lot of work to do during the day and I'm taking care of these little children? No, every person has a full plate of different things.
Yeah.
Some people have their kids, their families, their
right.
jobs, their other causes they're a part of, like friends, family. Everybody has a full plate. So I don't think I'm special for that. And I think that probably if you looked at everybody who does 75 hard, they probably have some sort of like thing they have to work around. Yeah. Now, if I were a single 20-year-old with no responsibilities, it probably would be a little easier in some aspects of it. But I mean, they're still sacrificing going out partying because you can't really do that.
Yeah. Trying to not,
that's a sacrifice. I don't know.
Trying to not be single anymore.
Yeah. Well, who knows? Maybe you'll find a better partner if you were like not drinking and you were working out twice a day.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
You probably look good and you're oh yeah, and we haven't even talked about the reading part.
Yeah.
So
yep. So
we'll probably get to that.
All right. So 2 workouts. We got that covered. You have to take a progress picture. So literally you just take a picture of yourself. It doesn't say take a picture of yourself naked, take a picture of yourself in your underwear, right? It just says,
it doesn't even say it has to be like the same angle every time.
It's just take a progress picture.
Just take your picture.
Right? Like literally
and
find a mirror, take a picture, and be done with it. And a lot of people fail this way.
Yeah, they say it's because it teaches you to manage even the littlest details, which I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. And guess what? If you get out of your routine of that picture, because I was in the routine, I don't know about you, but I would do it like first thing in the morning.
First thing in the morning.
Because number one, I look skinnier in the morning, so I was like,
bloated.
yeah, I'm doing that. Yeah, exactly.
I thought the same thing. I was like, I'm not doing that at night after I've eaten all day.
Heck no.
I gotta maintain my girlish figure. Are you crazy?
Yeah, and after a gallon of water, you don't want to take a picture. You want to take it before the gallon of water.
Right.
So I take it first thing, and I'll tell you what. One day, I for some reason, I just got out of my routine. I didn't take it, and it was like 10 a.m. and I was like, oh my gosh. And I was like, if I missed a day because of the stupid picture, I would be so mad. Yeah. But people do. People fail because of the picture. And after that, I added a reminder. Yeah. So I was like, not missing it.
And my biggest advice is get the app, right? Because the app, like if you're checking the app, especially like I check the app before I go to bed. Right, I check the app multiple times a day.
Well, and you can set reminders on the app, but you could also set that on your phone.
Yeah.
So,
but what I love, it's a checklist. This app, and it lists the 5 tasks. You go through them, and you have to check them off. And it's really good because at the end of the day, there was a few days where I missed the picture. Hunting trips, different things that like get in the way. Life gets in the way sometimes, and that's the point. This is supposed to be inconvenient. Right, things are supposed to happen.
You missed the picture?
No, I never. No, I have not failed.
Oh, I thought you just said that.
I missed the picture in the morning. I missed the picture in the morning. So I get up in the morning and I don't take the picture, and then 11 o'clock at night when I'm going to bed, I open the app. Oh shit! That's the one checkbox I don't have. Let me go snap a picture real quick. Right.
Yes.
So and right now, I didn't take my picture today. So a lot of people. Right, but I still haven't done my picture yet because just life got away from me, and I check the app, and I'm looking at the app now because I'm going through the tasks. But yeah, sometimes and people fail because of the picture, and we haven't said this yet, but I'll say it now. You fail one thing on this list, and it could be something as stupid as the picture. You start over. There's no. Right, we get so complacent and we're so easy on ourselves. Right? You know what? No one's going to know. Right?
That is the thing. On this challenge, no one else knows but you.
That's it.
So you have to do it.
You can lie, but you
can lie to yourself, right? Sure.
Yeah. But in the end, and what I loved about, in addition to Abby doing this, we also have another friend that Abby coerced into this.
Yes.
And what's really cool is that, we had our group message where we were constantly talking, we're constantly getting through the day, and we would share our progress pictures. We would share day 1 and day 15 and day 1 and day 20 and we would share those things. And it's really cool, from that aspect.
It really is motivating.
To see,
yeah.
Holy shit, this is actually working. There's actually changes physically happening. And so that's a really cool aspect of it as well. In addition to just doing this little simple task that is going to make you fail this challenge on day 74, right? Can you imagine, right? Not taking your picture on
I don't
day
even want to imagine.
Even on day 75, you don't take your picture on day 75 and you have to start all over again. So the other tasks are 10 pages of reading. It has to the one rule has to be a nonfiction book.
Yeah.
And other than that, it's 10 pages of reading.
I love this one, and I don't know. Have you ever thought when all of this is done, which one would you keep? I have a hard time. I'm well, I'd keep probably a little of all of it.
So,
but yeah, the 10 pages of reading is actually pretty doable.
yeah.
And you get through the books so that you
fast.
actually feel progress.
Oh man, I've read
book.
so much in this last, like, it's now been 80 days ish.
What's been your favorite book that you read?
I'm looking at them right now.
So far.
They're all so good. So I read. I read The Obstacle is the Way as one of my books. It's by Ryan Holiday, and it's like about like the Stoic way of life and like Stoic living and how like the Greeks had that Stoic mentality. That was really good. That's probably one of the books that I took the most away from. But I got through 5 books in 75 days. Front to back.
It's awesome.
Front to back, 5 books.
Now, here's a question. Did you ever read more than
Yes,
the 10
absolutely.
pages? Or okay.
Yeah, like there's days where I had time, right? Like I'm waking up early. I meditate by the fireplace and like I grab my book and I read and I make sure I get to my 10 and then I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm going to keep reading. Or I'll pick my book up in the evening and I'll read at night. And, but it makes me want to read, right? Reading those 10 pages is like the Kickstarter.
Yeah, it makes the book more interesting because you actually are getting to the points instead of slogging through.
Yep.
And yeah, I can tell you though, I only really have time for those 10 pages and even if I want to read more, there isn't time, but I get those in, you know, and I don't know if you did this. When we first started, I was like, Alan, is one page front and back and so we had this whole discussion because I was like, I want to make sure I get this right. And
not only that, then there's like the end of the chapter where like there's like a paragraph, right?
Did you add up so that it was like one full page? I did too. Like, I do too. Yeah.
I didn't. Right. I tried not to overthink it, but my mind is like
I totally overthought
we determined right. It was one page, one full page, not front and back, just one full page. And when I got to an end of a chapter and it was a paragraph, like I didn't even count that as a page. Like I wouldn't even like add it up. If it was like half a page and like I would flip the page, sometimes like chapters start at like half a page too. I'd be like, all right,
so then you
that's
can add
one
those.
page together.
Yeah.
But I was also trying not to be like too like pedantic about it. Like just like, you know, like, all right, read 10 pages. And that's also part of the reason why I was like, you know what, you can read a few more too, right? Like it doesn't hurt to get in an extra 2 pages of reading. I mean, it takes an extra minute out of your day. And the reading part, it's funny that you say, what would you keep? So I'll Tarantino this. I completed the 75 hard. And
yeah, we should. Yeah, we never did say where we are. Yeah. We should. Do you want to say where we are really quick, like in the whole thing?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so go ahead.
I completed 75 hard the day after Thanksgiving. On the Saturday, so Saturday after Thanksgiving, Sunday after Thanksgiving, I was a free man. And I still did everything.
So the Friday after Thanksgiving was day 75.
And you still have to do
Saturday.
Saturday was day
party
76,
time.
and now I'm a free man, and I get to do whatever I want.
And we were adding this up like all different ways, like making sure.
We wanted to make sure. I counted on the calendar multiple times. Then I got Abbey involved, and I'm like, can you make sure this is 75 days? Even though I had the app, I was so worried about failing on day 75.
You do not want to start over because you thought it was day 75.
Right. So I on the Saturday after, right, I'm free, right? Like I no longer have boxes to check. What did I do? I got up.
All the same stuff.
Read. I got up, I read, I had my coffee, I took my progress picture. Like I did it all.
Oh, you still did a picture?
Absolutely, sure did.
On those 2 days?
Yep, sure did.
The only thing you did not follow was the diet.
The diet, I didn't follow the diet because I wanted Coca-Cola, not cocaine, Coca-Cola so bad. And I wanted some cookies, so I did have that. But it was funny, like
pizza.
I did have pizza. I didn't have it in excess though, which was funny. Like I used to drink like 6 cans of Coke a day, and that's awful for you, and I know that. And I was just like, I had the cookies, and I'll get to Sunday, but like I had the cookies, I had some oatmeal cream pies, I had some pizza. I was fantastic. I didn't get sick or anything. I didn't feel like sugar rush, none of that. Felt great. And yeah, and I still, I didn't drink the full gallon of water because honestly, that's my kryptonite. But I was still pretty close. Like I was like, wow, like I'm pretty much drinking almost a gallon of water a day, even not on this. I still worked out twice, both Saturday and Sunday. So yeah, Sunday came around and I was hungry. I'm always hungry, right? Cause I'm working out all the time and literally I'm always hungry. And before this, when I was hungry, I'd like open up the pantry. I'd see the cookies, like the Chips Ahoy sitting there. I'd grab like a handful of them and just eat, 4 or 5 cookies and then go on. And so Sunday I have them in my pantry. I open up the pantry. I see the Chips Ahoy. I look at them and I'm like, and I shut the door, didn't grab cookies.
Oh,
and
interesting.
Yeah, like I didn't want them. And I went and I grabbed some cheese and ate some cheese and yeah. And I was like, and that was the click for me when I was like, I guess I'm starting phase 1 tomorrow. Like I was like,
yes.
Why, so phase 1 is the second, they say 75 hard is the boot camp to the live hard program. And then there's 3 phases after 75 hard. I'm in phase 1. I'm on I have no clue, day 6, I think. I'm on day 7 of.
Dang, already.
Of phase 1. Phase 1's 30 days.
Yeah, because today is, yeah.
And there's additional tasks. Okay. So it's 30 days. There's additional tasks. We haven't even got through all the tasks on 75 hard yet, but I'll get to that. So where are you at?
Okay,
you did not
and it's funny.
Complete 75 hard.
I did not,
Why?
but hey,
why
you said,
why didn't you?
Hold on. You said this is your podcast number 26.
Uh-huh.
It is. Yeah. Today, I am on day 26.
Oh, that's awesome. Look at that.
How funny is that?
Happy coincidence right there. That's so cool.
This is like, it's like meant to be. Okay, so anyways, first round, I had to quit, so I failed.
Why what day did you get to?
I got through day 53. I was on day 54, and so I was so sick.
2/3 of the way through.
Oh my gosh, yes.
That's such heartbreak.
And look, the day 53, I was sick too, also. And I made it through that day, and I was like, oh man, I can get through it. It's one day of being sick. I'll be fine tomorrow. Yep. Day 54 rolled around, and I was like on the floor. Like I could not function.
See, but when you say sick, like I imagine like someone with like the sniffles and like, well, I'm sick.
No.
Well, I'm sick.
I had some kind of stomach flu or something.
So you were really sick. Are you sure? Like what was like you couldn't exercise? You couldn't do anything?
So I could barely take care of my children. Okay. I woke up that day still early. I felt like throwing up, and so went downstairs, started trying to read. Was
it the Rona?
I was like, I don't know if it was.
I think it was.
If it was, maybe. I mean, I did not have a fever and I did not have a cough, but I've never felt like that. Like it was, and I was on the floor, like I was on the ground. Like my husband, I had to call him to come watch the kids because I was just laying there like, okay, here's a snack.
It's funny. And I think it was the Rona because I like my allergies were bothering me in the same time frame.
Yes.
And and now I just recently got tested for COVID antibodies and I totally have them. So so there's that.
So you gave me the COVID.
I think I gave you, or you gave me the COVID. One of the two.
So I'm okay. Or one of us gave each other the COVID, and I got the worst of it.
Yeah, you did.
And you finished 75 hard, and I had to start over. Yeah.
But what's funny is
I
talked to your husband about it when we were. It was the last time I was over. It wasn't last night. Last time I was over, I talked to your husband about it, and I was like, "How sick was she?" And he was like, because he was still at work, and I guess he came home from work, and like he walked in the door. You're like dead on the couch. The kids are drawing on the walls, and you're like he walks in the door, and you run upstairs. So I'm totally fucking with you, and I know you were really sick. I know you, so like I know you wouldn't have quit if you weren't really
Let me
sick.
tell you one thing though. I probably could have mustered through the workout and made it like the most slow walk you've ever seen. Even if I walked around my house so that I could like puke in our own garden, like I probably could have mustered through that. The gallon of water, if you
No
have
way.
a stomach flu,
You wouldn't have got it
is
done.
not
No.
happening. I was like, oh, I cannot even think about drinking water.
Yeah.
Like if it wasn't bubbly, I could not drink it. So anyways,
That's fun.
so there's that. I was very sick and I was sick for like 4 days straight.
Yeah.
So, and by day 5, I was like, of that sickness, I was like barely recovered. Anyways, it took me a while to restart. So,
So you did-
now I'm
but
on
you-
day 26.
So you did restart. Good for you.
I did restart, and I wasn't sure I would restart. I was like, maybe my body is telling me to abandon this challenge. But I did give it maybe it was a week, I don't know. And then it's just like you said when you were on the Saturday after it ended, and you were like, I guess I'll wake up and do my reading, and then okay, I guess I'll do my workouts. I guess I'll do my selfie, and then. But next thing you know, you've done all the stuff. And it's like, I guess I'll just do it.
Yeah, I guess I'll check the boxes.
And it's like, well, if I don't drink a gallon of water, well, how much water am I going to drink? And it's like, you still kind of have to make these decisions in your day. Like, you still make a decision. How much am I going to work out? When? How? Like, where? How many times? What am I going to do for the workout? Even if you decide I'm not working out, that's your decision. But you still have to make the decision. Right. And so it was like, oh, well, I mean, I still have to decide to do all these things. So I might as well just go with the stuff like on this list.
Yeah. That are going to make me better. You're so right. Like it's a choice.
Yeah.
Like,
it's like, what am I going to do? Read 5 pages of nonfiction now that I'm not doing, no, I'd rather still read the 10. That way I keep the momentum of a book. So.
And it's a promise and a commitment to yourself to do all this stuff that, right? Like, you and I have talked about this in one of your other efforts to abandon ship on this thing. Right?
Oh man, so many efforts to abandon.
Right? Like you were, I'm done, I'm out, like I'm so over this. And in making the
that was like last week.
Yeah, that was last week.
That was like a few days ago.
In this commitment to yourself, like even you, like I knew you were seeing it, right? I could see the change in your words and like how, right? Because initially it was like I'm out, I'm bowing out, I'm done, and then like it slowly starts to like creep back, and like like I'm just so tired, and the kids but I'm working out anyway, and like, and you can see like. You start to realize, you know what, I said I'm going to do something and I'm just going to do it. And
well, there's a reason that I messaged you and Jillian. Like, if I were really going to abandon, I would just do it and not tell you, because I know if I mention it to you, you guys are going to give me a pep talk, talk me out of it. So when I make the decision to be like, guys, I'm done, it's because I need your encouragement, and then you guys always do encourage me. So,
and the big thing that I said, was, and we slightly talked about this, is think about the impact, right? And it's not just you, right? Especially once you're right. And I'm going to give this to you, right? Like you're on day 26, and you did 53 days. You've done
I've already done 75 total.
days, right? Like you right. It doesn't matter. It doesn't, right? Like. You screwed up for 5 days of this program because you were sick, right? You had a valid excuse. You couldn't go on, fine. But you've done 75 days of this, right? And
which
the impact, the influence that you've given now to other people, i.e. your children. Like that was the big thing that I pointed out to you when you were ready to quit. Like, and because you were using your children as your excuse. Like it was like,
oh my gosh, well, they were driving me insane.
Right, yeah, right. Right. Of course they're driving you insane. You have a toddler and a baby. Of course they're driving you insane, right? Like
they just scream at you all day.
Yeah, they can't talk
but they're so
coherently, cute. Right? Like they can't tell you full thoughts. Like it's like a puzzle trying to figure out what they want. Of course you're frustrated, right? But the influence that you have on them, right? It's the same. It's the same side of that coin that. You're doing this to show them who they should be, right?
That's the hope, but I can tell you, and any mom out there will say the same thing, that whenever you're doing something for yourself, you always have this guilt or this voice in the back of your head, like it's like you're not giving them your full attention because you're doing a workout, or you start to guilt yourself into thinking that you're doing something wrong for them because you're putting this effort into something else. So,
and it's
like,
it's hard. I can't say that I know that feeling, but I'll reference the adage of the oxygen mask on the plane, right? Like, you have to put yours on first, right? Right? Like, put yours on first, then put the mask on the kid, right? Because if you're passed out from lack of oxygen, trying to get your kid's mask on, it served you no purpose. So, right, just like the mask.
But it is hard. Like, some days, and the day that we're talking about where I was like just over it, it, like, some days I did and do wonder, am I making myself too stressed, and is the stress worth it? Like, am I making their life miserable because I'm stressed over this thing? So that is something that I struggle with in the whole thing, is like, if by doing this challenge, am I making our whole life more stressful?
Maybe. But in this challenge over 75 days, is taking your kids out on a bike ride stressful to them? Is getting them in fresh air and playing on the playground and their mom playing with them, is that stressful? Like,
now they liked that part, so that for sure. So, but here's the thing.
You might be creating stress, but are you also creating memories and happiness and right? And would there be other stress that comes along? And would you be stressed because...
Well, there's stress if I'm feeling like I'm not getting workouts in. Yeah. So yeah, you're right. Like, I would be stressed like, oh, I haven't been able to finish that book over there. I've been reading this book for 3 months and I haven't finished it. That would be stressful too. So yeah, you have a good point.
I'm going to bring up one more thing, because you and I have talked about this, and right, we're recording. So if you don't want to talk about it, say I don't want to talk about it. But alcohol. Right? Why? Right? If you kept drinking, if you don't want to talk about it, say you don't want to talk about it. But if you kept...
Oh, I would love to talk about it.
Right, good. I'm glad.
Yeah.
So, one, why did you take your church's challenge on to stop drinking alcohol? And I know why, right? And you're going to touch on this. But two, what's the stress of you continuing to drink? And let's be clear, you're not a drunk, right? Like, let's not make Abby out to be this alcoholic, mommy dearest mother, right, with a bottle in her hand when she wakes up. Oh, right. But talk about your experience with alcohol.
I could do a whole episode on just this topic.
Look at her weaseling her way into another episode. I love it.
You know, if there's another episode you need me on.
I got the name. The hunter, the hippie, and the Christian.
Are you freaking serious right now?
Isn't that brilliant? That's the title.
Alan,
that's the title of this episode. The hunter, the hippie, and the Christian.
Listen. Go talk to Jeff when we hang up and ask him what I said we should name the show that I'm on.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. I'll ask him. Okay, I'll text him when we're done.
Yeah. All right. So I forget. Oh, we were talking about the alcohol.
So
hold
on.
I could do a whole episode on this.
Yeah, before you go into it. So we've already touched on the tasks. Let's go through real quick. So workout, progress picture, 10 pages of reading. You already mentioned the gallon of water, right? We already talked briefly about that. There's a few other tasks, but we're skipping to. So this task is no alcohol and no cheat meals. We'll get to, we'll describe that. And the last one's follow a diet, but let's talk about the alcohol.
Yeah. Yeah. So, well, first of all, I actually started a totally separate a 21-day challenge, and I started on August 31st. So I was going to do 21 days of not drinking, and it was a totally separate challenge.
Why?
And
Why
then
did you start it?
Because I had a baby in February, and I was already like, my tolerance was like totally back to like I had never taken time off of drinking.
It was like you did 75.
And that's pretty scary.
It's like you did 75 hard for 9 months.
and then you come back.
Then you did the Coke thing, right? Except yours was alcohol, right? Like Saturday came and you're like, ooh, this baby's out of me.
Yeah.
It's beer 30, right? Like,
yes.
Yeah.
And then you think, oh, I'll be good with one because my tolerance is super low. And sure, it is for like the first week or two. And the next thing you know, it's a random Tuesday and I'm having 3 beers with dinner or, during dinner or whatever. Yeah. And
I'm glad you didn't say I'm glad you didn't say breakfast.
Oh, no. Oh my gosh. But, although, if you got to do it, whatever. But
day drinking, hair of the dog.
Fortunately, I didn't. But you know what the thing is, like, our culture has really glamorized alcohol and made it like
100%.
Unless you're at rock bottom, it's totally fine. And I just disagree with that. I feel like it's a substance that you never drink less. And that's something that just came to me as I was like, I've been through 2 pregnancies and yet I still do not drink less than before. Well, I mean, I drink way less than my 20s, but you're never
I
like.
hope you're drinking way less than the 20s.
Oh my
based
God,
on the average American, I hope we all drink less than we did in our 20s.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I would not be alive probably, but no, it's like you always, because of the nature of what the substance is, like you always drink more because your body gets used to it and you add more and more and more. And that's just the nature of alcohol. It's an addictive substance. And frankly, it doesn't really add anything to your life.
It actually takes away.
It takes away. It takes away so much. And so anyways, I just did this 21 days. I was like, I need a break for 21 days. So I was doing that. And then midway through was when the 35-day challenge with my church came up. And I was like, I'm going to do that so that way I can tack on, some extra days of the no alcohol. And then you said the 75-day, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to do that. That way I tack on even more time of the no alcohol. And it kind of just gave me these like compounding challenges to just keep not drinking alcohol. And now I've been alcohol free for like 97 days, which isn't even that long. Yeah. That's like 3 months.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
some people
trimester.
Don't drink. Right? Yeah. It's like 1 trimester. But you know what? I don't miss it. And when I was pregnant, sad to say, like I missed it. I was like, man, I could really go for a beer. But like this has been way different. Like because I'm being more intentional and like I'm giving it up not because I have to, like I don't have to. I'm not driving. I'm not pregnant. Like all the reasons people don't drink. Health, my health is fine. I'm just not doing it because it no longer serves me. Yeah. And it's actually not that easy to give up. Yeah, even if you're not at rock bottom, it's still an addictive substance. Yeah. I'm sorry. Like everybody is somewhere in there and some people can have like a little bit and they're fine. But
and it's
just a progressive thing.
Altering substance too. Like it changes your mindset. It changes your mentality. And there's an impact of that. And whether it be one drink or, right, one drink to quote, take the edge off, right? Or,
yeah.
Right?
Well,
or
one of my books I was reading for the challenge was Alcohol Explained, which I didn't read straight through, but it does go into like the effects, and like alcohol for the first like 20 minutes will take off that edge. But then it actually releases chemicals in your body that amps up your anxiety. So when you understand that and you know that alcohol is actually making you more anxious and more depressed, not that I was particularly anxious or depressed, but it definitely wasn't making me happier or more relaxed. And let me tell you, I have way more time.
And it was making you less patient with your kids and your husband, right? Like that was a big
Oh my gosh, yes, way less. And you know what? Like the culture tells moms like, oh, you've earned it. You've been watching your kids all day. You can have some, I'm not a wine person, but you can have your wine or your drink and it's your reward. But that's not a reward. And it made me like way less patient. My fuse was way shorter in the evening. And I was just like, yeah, I'm just tired. It's been a stressful day. Well, now like I said, I'm almost 100 days
It's
alcohol
so
free.
cool.
And yeah, and like all the stresses are still there, like bedtime, dinner time, kids, husband, but my patience is longer. And like I'm just more level and more present. Like,
isn't that,
yeah, it's just,
isn't that so cool? Right? Like I talk about this a lot in my yoga classes, and I think we've talked about it on here, is that there's only one thing we are in control of, and that's us. That's ourselves, right? And I love what you just said, because you said all the stresses are still there. Everything is still there. Nothing changed. The only thing that changed was you. You stopped
that's
drinking.
right.
And now, all of a sudden, the same stressors are there. You have more time. You have more patience, right? And this isn't to say, like, you've become super mom, right? This is, right, like, you still lose your shit. You still are impatient, right? You still, right, like, you know, it's not to say that all of a sudden everything magically becomes easy. It just, you changed one thing, and now everything else in your life is showing up a tiny bit different. And
it's just like, yeah, it's so much better. And then, I mean, the other thing is sleep. I don't know if anyone really realizes, but even a drop of alcohol will basically ruin your sleep. And I have an Oura ring.
Yeah.
So I've been tracking my sleep for like 2 years. And so I have the data to prove that alcohol ruins your sleep, and not having alcohol.
So over the last 100 days, you've seen a shift in your sleep patterns with the Oura ring?
Absolutely.
So
yes. Cool. So my deep sleep is more and longer, and heart rate. So that's a big one. Heart rate variability, like your recovery, and heart rate variability measures your stress. So that's better. And then just my heart rate in general is usually lower. Body temperature is lower. Like I used to put my chili pad on like the lowest setting possible and I would still be hot. Now I don't know, like my body temperature is more regulated. Yeah. I'm not just like, because when you drink, your body's metabolism is trying to burn that off while you sleep. So it's not good. There was something else and I can't remember.
So what you're saying is your body's active and engaged, and like you're supposed to be, you're supposed to be unconscious and resting and healing, and your body is still like, shit, I gotta process this alcohol and oh my God, and oh crap, and then oh shit, the alarm's going off, and oh crap.
Yeah, even if you have like 1 or 2, it's the same. Like they say, oh, women can have 1, men can have 2. It's the same. Yeah. Just go look at it. I've looked at it. I've tracked number, and it's the
Abbey,
same.
there's no difference between men and women.
Oh yeah, we're all the same. There's no such thing as that. There's no such thing as men and women.
I had to take that jab, but yeah.
Well, I almost threw that in when you said your aunt and uncle joke, but then I didn't.
You were gonna say something else.
No, the only other thing I want to add about the sleep is if your body's not trying to process a poisonous substance, I actually get less sleep now sometimes, and yet I still feel good in the day. Yeah. Like, it was so funny because I would actually sleep quite a lot if I had some drinks or whatever, and I would still just feel a little bit off. You know, I was not hungover, but I was like, I just don't feel great. Yeah. You know, I don't feel as rested. I slept for like 9 hours. I don't feel rested. And now I might get 6 or 7 and I'll be fine.
That's great.
So the quality is really noticeable when you get that good quality of sleep. So
here's a question. So every, now that you, me, and Jillian have been doing it, I actually have had a bunch of other friends now after I completed it sign up and do it. And what I noticed, right, for me, and right, there's a task that is really hard. And for everyone, there's usually one task from that list of 5 that's really hard. And it's not the same for everyone, right? For me, it was the water. And
you're like, I don't think I need a gallon of water.
I do not need a gallon of water. I can guarantee I do not.
I feel like I need it. But I feel like I'm fine with that.
But yeah, like for me, it was the gallon of water. And it was great because I was able to communicate that to you and Jillian. And, you know, there was a day, I remember this. I remember texting you guys that, you know, I had 64 ounces left. So half a gallon of water. And it was like 8 o'clock.
And what time of day was it?
It was like 8 o'clock at night.
8 o'clock.
And I'm like,
oh my gosh.
And I forget what day it was. And I was ready to fail. I was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm done. This is over. And I remember, so I text the both of you. And then I also walked past, I was getting in the shower and I walked past my mirror. And I remember like catching a glimpse of myself in the mirror and seeing like the results, like the physical results of this. And I was just like, wow, that's like a huge change. And I was like, son of a bitch. And I just started chugging. And I probably didn't finish it until, you know, like 11 or 12 o'clock at night. And I paid the price because I think I peed 5 times
that
night. And it was miserable. And for me, so the water's the hardest. What was your task? Was it the outdoor workout? Was it what was your task that you're like?
Oh, you know, I wouldn't say any one thing was the hardest, but trying to do everything with children. So imagine you have to do something, and all you have to do is manage yourself.
Yep.
Okay, that's fine.
Yep.
Now you have to do it and also manage 2 little people who are
totally
like
codependent on you.
They need me. They're clinging on to me, whining, crying, need a bottle. This one needs a snack. Where's my water? Oh, yeah. Try to drink a gallon of water and you're out on a bike ride and your toddler is like, Mommy, I need some water. And you're like, oh, crap, I can't give her from my bottle because I'm tracking my water in this bottle. So, you know, stuff like that. And like, if you take a kid for an outdoor workout, you can't just throw on your shoes. No, you got to throw on your shoes. You got to throw on their shoes. You got to get all the snacks. You got to make sure there's diapers.
You got to make sure they have their own water. They're not drinking out of your
they
water.
Had that. I got to make sure. Oh yeah. I got to make sure I have their water. Oh, and then one time I had her water and she still wanted mine. And I was like, no, you can't. So I would say just trying to do it while managing the little people. It's like so hard because they need what they need and they're not quick. So they turn something that should be pretty straightforward into an ordeal. Okay. So that was the hardest, is just mainly that. And frankly, on this round 2 that I'm doing, I'm trying to do everything around their schedule. So I'm not doing I'll still take them to the park or whatever, but I'm not going to incorporate my workout into that. So I'm waking up like extra early. I'm trying to do one of the workouts while they're napping. So that way I don't feel like they're hindering the progress. Now, sometimes I still work out with them, but anyways, that is that. Oh, and then so here's the other thing. It's not at one particular task again. Like each task is fine and all, but the one thing that's not in that list is called rest. So you know, you still need rest. Our bodies need rest of some kind. And with that not in the list, it's really easy to not do it. So that's something that anybody who does it, we all, and so my first couple of weeks, I hit it way too hard. And like, my body wasn't recovering. I was tired all the time and I had to
I remember
bring
this.
it back.
Yeah, I remember that. That was I'm not doing it hard enough. I gotta make this more intense.
Oh yeah. and then I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
So
I should probably just go for a walk. Yeah, you probably should.
yeah, I did. Yeah.
Walk sounds like a great idea.
A walk is totally, you know what? Now for round 2, I actually started doing a walk first thing in the morning, like before the sun comes up or as the sun is coming up. And that is like my favorite
How
thing.
satisfying is that?
It is like so nice. I didn't really do that. And the funny thing is, the first round when we started, it was warm and nice. And now it's like cold in the morning, but I go out in the morning now. And back then I was not. Anyways, the weather is not, it's still okay, but now it's really, really cold. And I'm like, this is awesome. I like this. So
the cold is great, right? The cold is great for us. And then the fact that you're outside in the dark and you're getting to watch the sunrise, like it's really easy for us to see the sunset. And I would say everyone gets the opportunity. I can't say that they get to see the sunset, right? Because they might be in buildings and whatnot, but they have the opportunity to see the sunset because most of us are up during that time, even during summer, right? When the sun sets at 9 o'clock at night, right? We have the opportunity to see the sunset. When the sunrise is a totally different story, right? How many of us are up and just have the opportunity to see the sunrise, right? Like
well, even if you're up, you're
in your house,
huddled in your house, right?
Still in your bed under the warm blankets.
Yeah.
Right. How many of you are actually getting outside? And that's one of the things I love about hunting is because you're up before sunset, and then like you get to be a part of the magic. Like
magic,
like you just get to see this, like everything go from this darkness to just light. And wow, and how many people just shared that with you? There's a lot, but there's also not a lot, right? Like a lot of people are still in their beds, still in the comfort of their own homes, and here you are out here up before your kids and going for a walk when you could have. And we're back.
Yeah, we're back. That was
podcasting, another fucking problem. I love it. I love
it. We were on a roll, but that's okay.
Hey, and this is right, like it's, so I'm gonna relate this to 75 hard. You can control what you can control, and that's one thing. It's you. And you already said this, right? The stresses happen. The stresses come up. And they're going to be there. Had what just happened, right? So essentially, right, to those listening, what just happened is Abby's side stopped recording, and we need that, right, in order to give, right, you a dialogue and not a monologue, or me answering questions or responding to someone who's not there. So we need that. And it just stopped recording. And that's the kind of shit that happens, like you're podcasting, and you got to be so prepared and so ready for that to happen and deal with it. So we are, right, we worked through the problem. Thankfully it wasn't a big problem. And now, because of 75 hard, the way I respond to things, like I could have responded and been like, oh my fucking God, like this sucks. And, right, like you lose your shit so much easier, where also the fact that we've been doing this podcast thing for a while, and Bree and I have had tons of issues, and it just gets to the point where we're like, yeah, all right. And Abby thought she deleted something, and like I could have lost my shit, but why? How would that, right? How would that help this? How would that serve me, and how would that serve Abby? Right. And it was just, all right, we lost the recording. So what? Now what? Now what are we going to do? And we figured it out. She didn't record over it. She
did not record. Yep. It's all good.
It's all good. But yeah, 75 hard is, I know we got to wrap up here soon. We've been talking for a bit.
Yes.
But
we might have to do a round 2.
We might look at Abby working her way into another episode.
2.
So real quick, just gonna go through the tasks. So 2 45-minute workouts. One has to be outside. Take a progress picture. 10 pages of reading. Drink a gallon of water. Follow a diet. It doesn't say what diet. It doesn't say what workouts. Just follow a diet. And then no cheat meals. Like once you have your diet, whatever your diet is, you have to stick to that diet. no cheat meals, no alcohol. I'm in phase 1. I mentioned that. I have to do all of those things and 3 other tasks. So I have to do a 5-minute cold shower, which
well, 4 other tasks, right?
3 other tasks.
Oh, I thought it was 3 plus the cold shower.
Well, so
sorry, you go ahead.
Maybe. So it's 3 tasks total with like a subset of 3 other tasks. So
okay. I see where you're going. Yep. Okay,
yeah.
Go ahead.
So you have the 5-minute cold shower. You have 10 minutes of dedicated visualization, visualizing how you want your life to be, the things you want in your life, right? It's almost like a meditation-esque type thing. And then, so where Abby and I are lost in translation a little bit is here. You have to do 3 critical tasks. That's the next task. So there's that subset.
That you make up.
Right,
yourself.
yeah. It's three critical tasks. And you make them up, and whatever they are, it's just something to make, right, something that you're not already doing.
Something you need in your life.
Yeah, something you need in your life that's going to help propel your life forward. Again, don't overthink it. And like I was overthinking it. I was like, oh, I need 3 critical tasks, new critical tasks every day. And it's funny, as I go about my day, like I actually find other critical tasks and I do them anyway beyond the 3. But I set 3 standard critical tasks for my next 30 days. So one of them is post daily on social media, right? I'm trying to work on my brand. My second one is make a phone call. So call someone, right? So how many of you call people, right? Or how many of you answer your phone when someone calls you, right? We look at our phones, we're like, why the hell are they calling me? Send them a voicemail, right? And then like you start texting them, right? So I really wanted to make a phone call, start calling people. And then my third one is sauna for 30 minutes. So I get in the sauna, staying there for 30 minutes, and that's it. And then there's other stuff. Like I'm starting to realize, wow, there's these other critical tasks that I'm doing throughout my day, and I'm getting them done, and I'm being more productive. So we're not going to get into phase 2 and 3. We will definitely record. We're going to have to record a part 2 of this. But yeah, let's wrap up. And before I get to the journal prompt, let's just final thoughts on like, what are your thoughts on this? Where are you at?
Final thoughts are, you're going to spend your time somehow, and you're going to have to make that choice at some point. Mm-hmm. So whether you decide to just lounge and watch Netflix all day, that's still your choice. Or you can choose to do things that add value to your life. Mm-hmm. So why not? I mean, why not, read 10 pages instead of nonfiction? And the other thing, my other final thought is that this is just, I feel like this is developing better habits. So it's 75 days. It's not 20 days. It's not 30. 75 is a long time, and it will build. If you do something like this, you will be building a habit foundation that I think can springboard you into many better things. I do need to figure out the rest part. So that would be like one of my 3 critical tasks if I did phase 1, and be like, take a 20-minute nap every day. So that part I do need to figure out. So
that's fine. 26 minutes. You need. There's science behind the 26-minute.
Oh,
nap. Yeah,
even better.
You don't
yes.
You don't enter full deep sleep, because if you enter full deep sleep,
then you're screwed.
And then you wake up, and then you're screwed. You actually did more damage than good from that. If you like go to sleep for 45 minutes and you enter deep sleep and then you come out of it being woken up, it's actually not a good thing. That's great. I do want to just highlight something, right? In no way are we being judgy, right? Abby isn't being judgy, and it might come across that way to some when you hear it, like when you're like, oh, you sit around and watch Netflix all day. Like, if you choose to watch Netflix, that's cool. But when you choose to watch Netflix all day, every day, and you don't do these critical tasks in your life, right? You're not propelling your life forward. You're not, right? Like the reason you're anxious, the reason you're depressed, I just made a post about this, is because what you think your life should be like is different than what your life is like. And the reason that's different is because you are sitting and watching Netflix all day, every day, right? Versus doing these tasks that can make your life different. And we were there, right? Abby was there. Abby was drinking. Abby was doing, right? Like, and like we all have our own vices. I'm drinking Coke. So it's not about us being judgy. We're just speaking from our, right? It's how Bree and I have always talked. It's from our experience. And it's not that, like, should you waste time? Absolutely. Some of the best time in my life I've spent wasting it, right? I've spent it laughing with friends, doing things that,
well, that's
aren't
not
part
wasteful.
of these tasks. Right. Wasting time, right? Intentional wasted time isn't wasted, right? But absolutely you should be doing the things to waste your time. But also, when I waste my time, so I'll give an example. I was just... so when was it? It was Friday. I went to see my friends fight in jiu-jitsu matches, and I had my day planned. I still have my 8 tasks that I have to do every day, and I went and saw my friends fight. I went out to dinner with my wife because my relationship is important, so I have to nurture my relationship, which isn't on my fucking task list, right? But I still know that that's important, so I have to take care of that. Went to dinner with my wife, and then I'm like, all right, I want to have my network of friends. I want my friends to know that's another relationship. My friends to know that I care about them. And, so I went to the fights, and I didn't get home until 11 o'clock. No, what time is it? It was like 11:30 at night, something like that. And I still had a workout left. Still had to do a workout. So I had the option of going into bed and failing, or doing the thing that I said I was going to do. And I knew that when I woke up in the morning, I knew the tasks that I had to do. And I chose to add some quote, wasted time in there. That doesn't change the fact that I don't get to do those that I still have to do those tasks. I still have to do them. It's just like Abby with kids. Abby has to always take care of her kids, right? Whether it's on the list or not.
The tasks are just a foundation, and then you build your life on top of that. So you need a foundation of some kind.
Yes.
You can make your foundation Oreos, soda, and Netflix, or you can make your foundation learning, expanding your mind, physical health, hydration. I actually just read an article that like dehydration is linked with anxiety and depression. And if you're drinking a gallon of water, you're going to be dehydrated.
You have other problems, but you're not dehydrated. Again, you fix one problem and you open up 10 more.
That's kind of like life, isn't it?
I know what it feels like to be a pregnant woman with your bladder always being full, because the peeing is real when you're drinking,
and peeing all night long too.
Oh my gosh, it's awful.
That's what it is.
Yeah. So just my final thoughts, and we'll move to a journal prompt. This challenge it's tough, it's hard, and there's days that you want to quit, and we all wanted to quit, and having our friends to help us through it was really important. But most of all, right, like believing in yourself and knowing that, what, how often do you say you're going to do something and you don't do it? This challenge is to stop that, right? You say you're going to do these tasks, now do it. It doesn't matter what else happens through your day. Get these tasks done. Commit, do the 75 days, and see how your life is impacted by it. And I can tell you, people started showing up differently. When people started to learn that I was on that, I'd get phone calls. Hey, did you do your 75-minute or your 45-minute workout outdoors today? No? Oh, let's go for a walk together. I changed myself, and the world started showing up differently. I went to a jiu-jitsu camp on it, and people hey, let's do a workout outdoors together. Hey, you want to go for a walk? People wouldn't give me alcohol. I went to the bar to go get a shot of tequila for my friend who was cooking, and the bartender was like, I'm not giving you. She heard me over talking about 75 hard, and when I went to the bartender, I was like, can I get a shot of tequila? She's like, no. She wouldn't serve me an alcoholic beverage. So it's crazy how you change one thing And all of a sudden the world starts to change around you. So with that said,
love that.
With that said, let's move to a journal prompt, and we'll wrap up, and we're going to have Abby back on for another wonderful episode of The Hunter, the Hippie, and the Christian.
Love it.
So journal prompts, grab your journals, grab your phones, whatever it is. And Abby has her journal. I love it. Just write about what you heard. And, what I want you to focus on is maybe you have kids, maybe you don't. Right? But you get it. At this point, we're 26 episodes in. Maybe you're new, but grab your journal, write about it. Write about the things that you heard. Write about the thoughts that come to mind when you're thinking about this. Write about how you're overthinking this program. Write about how you want to do it, but then you're making up excuses. But if you're listening to this and you are a mother or a father and you're like, shit, I can't do this. I have kids. Right? I want you to write about that. Write about those excuses. And why can't you do this? Why are kids stopping you from doing this? And then write about the impact that could potentially be had if you do this with kids. How it could change your children's life by you changing that one thing. Because I believe there's true power in that. And I think that, the influence that I've had in doing this has been huge. After I announced that I finished it and shared some progress photos, I think I have like 10 people who reach out to me and are doing this now. They're on, days like 4 and 5 or 6 or something like that. So just my influence alone is huge. And I think someone like Abby, again, we're not supposed to compare each other, but Abby's such a more awesome person than me because she has 2 little dependent humans, right? Like literally these little things cannot live without her. If she was not there, they would die. And so she has to keep these things alive and do these tasks. So kudos to her, and kudos to you if you're going to jump in and try this. With that said, I will say adios. I'll turn it over to Abby and see if she has any last thoughts. And other than that, we'll catch you on the flip side.
Thank you so much. And I have loved being on your show. So I hope you'll have me back.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
If you want to follow us and our adventures, you can find both of us on Instagram. I'm at Bree Allison. That's BreAllison.
And I am at The Life of Alan Tatone, underscores between each word. To check out our offerings, yoga, one-on-one trainings, workshops, retreats, and a recorded library, you can find the info on our website, thehunterandthehippie.com.
If you have questions for the podcast, about the podcast, feedback, suggestions, or just want to say hi, or find ways to work with us, our email is thehunterandthehippie@gmail.com. And don't worry, all of this will be in our show notes.
Thanks for tuning in
Hopefully you weren't tuned out.
to the Hunter and the Hippie podcast.